Hey guys, it's Miss Perry. I heard that you guys were having trouble with the acid naming sheet, and I know I've already done one video, but let's look at the sheet itself. I think there was still some confusion about it. The one thing I want to show you is this flow chart, and I think it's really helpful that all the acids are going to start with H because remember, acids generate a positive or +1 hydrogen. Okay, so you know that all acids have hydrogen. Now, if you have two elements, hydrogen plus something else, then it's going to be hydro, whatever the other element is, ic. Okay, if you have more than two elements, there's no hydro prefix. You have 8 ending will become ic, and ite is us. Okay, so let's go back and look at this worksheet. I think part of the problem getting started on here, guys, was this is actually looking at the ions, and you're going to need your ion sheet for this. Let's see, there it is. Because the hydrogen is the cation for the acid. So you're looking for anions because you already have the cation. You're just looking for anions. All right, so this is what you're going to have to use for this first part. Now, let's look at if you have the ions here because they have charges, and you're trying to find the formulas. So naming the acid is not any different, but they're giving you the ions so you can do the formula. And I think that's what you might be getting hung up on this first part. Okay, so let's do the first one. You have CO3 -2 or 2 minus. So let's look at our chart. And let's look for CO3. Okay, carbonate. CO3, 2 minus is carbonate. Okay, so what they're telling you to do is go ahead and use this for naming or doing the formula. And then the carbonate is for actually naming the acid. So let's do one at a time. Okay, so let's go back over here. And you know that it is there's more than 2 elements, and you know you have hydrogen and you have oxygen. So this is a oxalide. Okay, so we're going to look at this. You have 3 elements, so you have no hydro. And if it's 8, it is an ic, ite is us. Okay, so let's see what that means. This is carbonate. All right, so we're going to type in carbonate, and there is no hydro, so we're going to go with carbon and go back over here and see that it's an 8, so it ends with ic, so it's carbonate, so it's going to be carbonic acid. Okay, so that's how you're going to name this one. Now for the formula, you're looking at, you have an H plus, and oops, and then you have the CO3 -2. Remember, you're going to go crisscross. You may not remember that, but if you go crisscross, then this 2 is going to be the number down here. Okay, so it's going to be H2 CO3. Okay, and to help you look at that better, okay, so that's what that's going to end up being. So you know that this is a carbonate ion, And I didn't put ion, but there it is. And that's how you're going to find out what you're doing. Now, if you aren't feeling comfortable with the naming, doing the formula, it's fine if you skip it. I don't have a problem with it. It won't be on the quiz. You do eventually need to know this, but the main thing I want to do with you right now is that you know how to name the acid. Okay, so let's go ahead and just skip the formula part. Well, let me do one more. Let's do one more with the formula. So this is SO3. So let's look for SO3, and that is sulfite right there. All right, so SO3 has a 2 minus. So let's go back over here. And you know that if there's a 2 and hydrogen's only 1, there's going to be another 2 and then SO3. Okay, H2SO3 is going to be your acid. All right, and pretty that up a little bit. Okay, so that's how you're going to do the formulas. All right, I'm just going to do that one more and that's going to be it. Okay, so SO3 is sulfite, is that right? Yeah. All right, so you have a sulfite ion. Oh, that's pretty, isn't it? Okay. All right, so you have a sulfite ion. So we're going to go over here and figure out that you are going to have, because there's oxygen, you're not going to put hydro because it has 3 elements in it. So sulfite, if it's ite, it goes to us. Okay? So this one's going to be sulfurous acid. So that one's a little different, but it's pretty much the same thing. If you said sulfus, I would take it. Okay, so let's look at PO4. Oops, wrong one. PO4 is phosphate. Okay, so let's go back over here. That's a phosphate. That's not right. And that's not right either. Ion. Okay, so it's a phosphate ion. Let me adjust that just a little bit. Okay. And we're going to see what the name of it is. So again, we're not going to use hydro because you have more than one element and you have an oxygen. So 8 goes to ic. All right. So we're going to say phosphoric. Okay, so that's phosphoric acid. Okay, NO3, let's look at it over here. NO3, and obviously you're going to have this chart. You can use this chart. You can use the that flow chart. That's fine. You can do that. And I'm looking for what? NO3. Okay, so NO3 is right here, nitrate. Okay, so let's go over here and put nitrate. Oops. Nitrate ion. And 8 goes to ic. Okay, so this is going to be nitric acid. Okay? So that's pretty much what you have to do. You have to look at the ion chart and figure out which anion you're looking at. Find out, is it binary or an oxyacid acid? Sorry, oxyacid. And so you know how to construct the name. Okay, so let's go on down and let's look at these acids. This is HBr. So we know that it's binary. So we're going to start out with hydro. Okay, so we know that what that is. And Br, I can look on my periodic table and see that Br is bromine. Okay, so you have on your chart 2 elements is going to be hydro and the other element an ick. Okay, so we're going to say hydrobromic acid. Okay, now let's do this next one. This one's going to be kind of crazy because it looks big, but it's not as bad as it looks. Okay, so we have H2CrO4. So let's go over here and look at our chart and look at CrO4, that's chromate. Okay, CrO4, that's going to be chromate. There's 3 elements, so it's not going to have a hydro on it. Okay, so it's going to be chromate. And if you have an 8, then it's an ick. Okay, so it's going to be chromic acid. All right, on this one, you have hydrogen and just 1 element, so this is going to be binary. So we can use hydro. And then S is for sulfur. So let's go back and make sure we're doing it right. We have hydro and then the other element in ick. So you're going to have hydrosulfic acid. Okay. Now this one, not as bad as it looks, I promise. Besides the H, you have C2H3O2, and that is an anion. Right here is acetate. Did I get that backwards? Let's see. C2H3O2. Yes, that's it right there, acetate. Now, if you go back, hydro and then ick. So let's go back over here. Oh, I'm sorry. This one doesn't have a hydro because it has an oxygen. Okay. So this is acetic acid. And how you got that was you have the C2H3O2, and that's acetate. Okay, so you've got acetic acid. Okay, let's do this one right here. HCN. This is not binary, so you don't have the hydro. Let's look at CN and see where that one is. I hope it's on my chart. You're probably screaming at me because you see it. Oh, I don't think this one's on here. Well, I'm not going to give you... Oh, there it is, cyanide. Okay, cyanide. So let's go over here. We know that if it is 3 elements, there's no hydro. And ite is us. So cyanide. And I think this one is going to be cyanic acid. Okay, had to play with that one just a little bit. Okay, and H2SO4. I think we've already done H2SO4. Did we? No, that was SO3. Okay, so let's look at this is, there's no hydro because this is not binary. So let's look at our chart. SO4 is sulfate. Okay, and if it's 8, it goes to ick. So this is going to be sulfuric acid. Okay, so you have sulfur and ick. Some of these you have to kind of play with them a little bit. If you're not quite there, if you had said sulfic acid, I'm probably going to give that to you. Okay, because some of these are kind of hard. Okay, now let's go ahead and do these down here. Perchloric acid. Well, let's look and see what anion that might have come from. So let's look at these, and we're looking for perchloric something. Oh, here we go. Perchlorate. Okay, ClO4, perchlorate, and so that's going to be H. Oops, I don't remember it. ClO4. Okay, and that one has, it's a 1. So there's no other suffixes there. There's no crisscross because they're both 1, right? Okay. All right, nitrous acid. Let's look down here and see what we have. Nitrous. Let's see, what does our chart say? If you have us, it must be ite. Okay, so we're just kind of going backwards here. So let's look at our chart. Nitrous. So that's going to be nitrite. Okay, so that's NO2 and it's still 1. So that's going to be HNO2. Okay. Okay, so let's do the rest of these. Phosphoric. It's an ick. So what do we got to go back to? Got to go back to an 8. So that's going to be a phosphate. There you go. Phosphate is PO4, and there's a 3 there. So if there's a 3, we got to bring it down. H3PO4. Whoops, and that's a 2. H3PO4. Okay, so you had your PO4, and because it had a -3 charge, you had to put that 3 with the H. Remember, you're crisscrossing. Okay, this is going back to when we were doing ionic compounds, so that we were naming them that way. This is just an extension of that. Okay, chromic acid. Okay, so if it's an ick, it was 8. So we're going to look for chromate. There you go. CrO4, and that's a -2. So this is going to be a H2. I don't remember from the time I just did that. CrO4. Okay. H2CrO4. All right. All right, so let's do the next one. Hydroiodic acid. So let's look at our chart. Well, let's see. In the ick. No, let's look at the chart. Iodic. If it's ick, it was 8 to start with. So Iodate is what you're looking at. So that's IO3. It's also a 1, so you don't have to do anything with the numbers. And that one is going to be HiO3. Okay? All right, carbonic acid. We know that has probably something to do with carbon, but it's not carbon because it has an ick. So if it was an ick, it's an 8. So let's go look for carbonate. Yeah, I can't use these over here. I got to have plain old carbonate. There you go. Carbonate, CO3 with a 2- charge. Okay, so you've got, let's go back, find the right page. Okay, HCO3, is that right? CO3, and then you have a 2 there. We got to bring that 2 right here. Whoops. Right there. There you go. So you have H2O3. I'm sorry, H2CO3. Okay, sulfurous acid. If it's us, it was ite. So let's look for sulfite. Sulfite right here. So that's SO3 with a -2. If it's anything besides a 1, you got to put a number in front of the H. Okay, just think of it that way. Because the H is always a 1 charge because that's what an acid is. It has a positive 1 charge hydrogen ion. Okay, so let's go back down here to sulfite, SO3, 2 negative. So it's going to be H2SO3. Make that nice and pretty for you. Okay, last one, nitric acid. So if it's ick, it was 8. So we're looking for nitrate. And it's right there. That's NO3, and it's a 1, so you don't have to put any other numbers for suffixes. So that's going to be HNO3. Okay. Oops, not there. All right. Now these down here is just, they're talking about the ionic bonds that we did earlier in the year. And this is just some practice for you on that. I'm not going to go over this because it's a little, we haven't really done it. It won't be on the quiz. We did it a long time ago. I will put it on documents with the key. Okay, so I'm going to put this key on there. And we'll finish this part up and put it on there. But you don't have to know how to do ionic compounds because you've already done those. So the main thing that you're going to need to do on the quiz, okay, you can use this. You can use this, okay, with all the anions. And I'm going to give you either the formula or the name. No, I'll tell you what, I'm just going to give you the formula. And you just have to name them. Because I don't really care right now that you can go back and do the formula for it. So I'm not going to do any of that. Your quiz will be pretty much that section. Okay, so that's all you're going to have to do. So I think that's pretty straightforward. You can use you're going to have binary and you're going to have oxyacids with hydrogen and oxygen in them. So you can use that, you'll be able to use all that. Okay, so you're going to have your ion chart, your flow chart, and then problems are going to look like this. Okay, so let me know. Send me comments again and ask questions. If I need to do this again, I will. I just want you guys to do well. Okay, love you. Bye.